There are some painful lessons from Uber's recent Uber breach. On September 15th, a curious teenage hacker looking for fun compromised Uber in a serious way, gaining administrative access to the company's massive cloud instance, development environments tools, and even their access management server. The hacker joked with how terrible the security was and shared proof with news outlets, on hacker message boards, and even with employees on Uber's own internal Slack communications tool. The attack was not masterful by any means. In fact, it was rather simple, and yet it snowballed into a massive data breach. And this is not the first big breach Uber's experienced. Back in 2016, another breach occurred affecting 57 million people, and executives tried to conceal it. That resulted in about a $150 million fine and an agreement with the FTC to maintain a comprehensive privacy program for 20 years. As for this recent hack, it started with a simple social engineering attack that granted access to the internal network. Then, while snooping around, a PowerShell script was found that contained administrative level access, which cascaded into super admin permissions across the company. Now, security experts describe this hack as a total compromise, which, in honesty, that is not a term we use very often. Now, I see many people pointing the finger at weaknesses of behaviors. Some say it's a failure of the technology at Uber, while a handful of people are actually defending Uber, saying it's been breached, but being breached is an inevitability. Well, from where I sit, there were many failures across the cybersecurity spectrums of technology, behaviors, and processes. So let's cover a few. On the behavior side, social engineering. It targets people, the weakest link, and it appears the training and security culture could be much improved at Uber. Beyond the fact that phishing was the starting point, the reporting of the issue was slow. And even when the crisis team told employees not to use the internal tools like Slack, the employees ignored them. They ignored the instructions. They thought it was a joke. So there's quite a few behaviors that need to be improved there. On the process front, yes, the crisis response process could be improved, especially with getting staff on board with containment and recovery actions. But the biggest issues are around allowing scripts to have embedded passwords to systems, especially administrative passwords, and not requiring more sophisticated authentication for admin accounts. And those fail-safe super admin accounts, they should be protected even more and reserved so that you can evict bad actors. On the technology side, where was the strong multi-factor authentication? That should be in place for all admin accounts. There needs to be better oversight and blocking capabilities for remote admin logins. That also really should be in place. And the basic principles of zero trust, and I know we use that term a lot, but just those basic principles, that really should be applied here. Right? And zero trust is gaining tremendous momentum across the security landscape, tools, vendors, and so forth, because of situations exactly like this. Now, lastly, and this is from an organizational perspective, they are committed to having a comprehensive privacy program, right? And this is due to the 2016 data breach. But privacy is meaningless without the necessary security to go with it. Overall, Uber was pretty lucky, actually, because this attacker was not really all that malicious. Yes, they went in and exfiltrated some data. Yes, they had access to tons of systems. But with those permissions, an attacker could have easily destroyed the systems and data of the company, probably causing hundreds of millions of dollars of loss and disrupting services probably for months. And we've seen bad actors go after companies and do exactly that, just burn it down. Aramco comes to mind. And it took months and months and months and hundreds of millions of dollars to recover that. The bad news here, though, even though they got off light, the bad news is that now every organized cybercriminal group, every ransomware crew, and every nation-state offensive team will now be looking at Uber as an easy target. And Uber's history tells a story. They didn't learn their lessons, right? And this current event is looking pretty egregious. And that might spell doom for Uber in the future. Uber, it's time to invest and support a highly capable and enabled cybersecurity, privacy, and ethics program, which should be reporting to the CEO and the board. In the meantime, there are likely some rough roads ahead for Uber. Thanks for watching. And if you like these kinds of assessments and the strategic aspects, feel free to follow on Cybersecurity Insights channel on YouTube. The link's down below.